off the track already, and that is that damage for Lando Norris. That's certainly damage, and a big fire there. And you see Grosjean, one car out there, and then Grosjean to the right-hand side. Just going straight.
I'm in Michigan and it's snowing. Just in the garage, trying to look and see what this box is. Well, I mean, I know what it is, but I can't say nothing about it yet. But yeah, it's a big box. So, my wife and I have been in Michigan visiting family for a while now. I mean, it's been great, but it is almost time to go. Man, it's cold. But the snow is pretty. I love the snow. And plus, it's not as cold as Chicago. It's, no. This is nothing compared to Chicago. But I freaking love the snow. Oh my gosh, I love the snow. So I need to run and make some copies really quick of some paperwork. And yeah, then I'll come back and then we'll get into the tea of the video. But first, we go get the copies. See, my wife and I live in Los Angeles. We're currently in Michigan because the whole pandemic thing, it was really nothing to do in LA once the pandemic hit. And then to top it off, my wife had got laid off, the studio was closed, and we live right next to the studio. So we're rethinking where we want to live. Because, I mean, I'm working from home now. And who knows, it may be a permanent thing. But there's really no real reason for, it was no real reason for us to stay in LA and just be there. So we came to Michigan to hang out with our family for a bit. Michigan has been great. I mean, no complaints, and it's been amazing just spending some time with my wife's family and seeing her happy. It's just been, it was a no-brainer, you know, when it came to staying in LA, because it was either stay in LA and be by ourselves, or go to Michigan, spend some time with some family. We're not so lonely, but that has to come to an end. Let me get ready and go print these copies real quick. I'll be right back. All right, we are done making those copies. Now, where was I again? Just had to shovel some snow. But I think I'm ready to get to the meat of the video. Some things that I hate about my new Sony a7s III. You guys like my socks? Aren't they cute? Oh, real quick. You guys like my awesome setup right there? Look, let me focus it over there. Yeah, right there. That's my work from home setup. That way I could stand and get all my work done instead of always sitting down. But yeah, Amazon boxes. Me and my wife have to figure out whether we want to continue to stay in the same apartment that we're in Hollywood, or we kind of want to move somewhere else. But I love that apartment, and I mean, you know what? We'll see. Okay, now that focus. Oh, that's good. Okay, now, first of all, that crash that you saw earlier, that was from Romain Grosjean, a Formula One driver, and it was really bad. I haven't seen a crash like that maybe in the last 2 years of Formula One. I'm a huge Formula One fan. Like, he's okay, and I I got nervous, man. I'm not gonna lie. I got a little nervous. So now let's talk about some things that I just hate. I hate about the Sony a7s III. Okay, now, don't get me wrong. This camera is by far the best thing that's ever happened to me. But my perfect camera has some problems. As you guys know, I did make that video where I was just testing out my camera. I spent the entire day shooting with my Sony a7s III in Chicago. And that's when I noticed some imperfections. But I could be just nitpicking. I could be. But these things kind of bothered me, especially when I was really cold. My fingers were like freezing. And two, if it takes me longer than like 10 minutes to figure out something, I got a problem with it. So the first thing I noticed was the lack of information in the menu screen. Like guys, come on. Why do I have to pull out my phone and Google what something means when you have the information tab right in the camera, but when you click on it, it doesn't give you any information?
Say you're picking this camera up and you're wondering, what does steady shot do? Oh, I see a question mark. I'll press that. Here's the description. Steady shot sets steady shot for shooting movies. Definitions aren't supposed to include the word they're defining.
Another thing that bothered me was the exposure mode. Like, you have to go in the menu to change your exposure mode, which means I had to take off my gloves. And I don't know why they did that with a primarily video camera. Like, there's exposure modes for your photography settings, but not for video on a primarily video camera? Like, come on, guys, come on. My hands were freezing out there. Come on. The exposure mode dials on the top of the camera should be for video. That's all I gotta say. They should have been for video, because most people who buy the camera, they're gonna be shooting video. They're not gonna be taking a ton of pictures. I mean, there are some people who might just take pictures on the Sony a7s III, but come on now, a video, come on man, come on. That's like having a supercar, but not having any sports modes. Like, the next thing I noticed was there is no sensor cover. And now, when I shot that video in Chicago, I clearly pointed out in the video a piece of lint on the lens. I thought it was on the lens. It was not on the lens. It was on the sensor. Like, and I feel like, come on, it's 2020. We should at least get a cover for the sensor. Because when you take the lens off, all you see is just the plain sensor of the camera. To be honest, that kind of bothers me, okay? Like, I'm editing the footage and I'm like, is that a piece of lint? Like, right on the sensor? Like, right in the footage? But you can't, it's distracting. So yeah, maybe a sensor cover would have been a great idea. Another thing I noticed was that when I was switching from photography modes to manual movie mode, it keeps the same settings as I had in photography mode. So I had to constantly change my ISO and my shutter. Like every time I switch back and forth between the movie mode and the manual photography mode. I saw reviews on the camera saying that when you do switch from manual photo mode to movie mode, the settings do change, but on mine, for some reason, the settings stayed the same. And it's just a hassle because right away when I turn to movie mode and I click record, because I'm obviously about to record something, but then it turns out the shutter speed's like 1/500. Like you know what I mean? Like, no, come on guys. Like, come on Sony. Like, come on. Oh, and then there was one more thing I had to say about the menus. So I don't know why, but some of the things in the menus don't make any sense. Like, why would you have autofocus tracking on the touchscreen menu? I don't understand. Like, why wouldn't you have it in the autofocus menu? Like, that, it took me 10 minutes just to figure out how to turn off focus auto tracking because it wasn't in the manual autofocus menu. How would I know that? And then the last thing I have to say about the Sony a7s III, and this is kind of just a personal to me, but I do not want to sit this camera down anywhere. Like, that's why I shot a lot of the B-roll in Chicago. I shot it on a different camera. Like, I went ahead and shot it on my DJI Osmo Pocket. Like, I do not want to leave this camera unattended, like never. It's like with my car. My car was such a dream car with me. Oh gosh, I love my car. My car was my dream car, and it's a nice car. every time I go to a parking lot, I never park next to other people. I park way in the back. And you know what? You know what always happens? Someone always parks right next to me. Every time. It never fails. But it's like that with the Sony a7s III. I do not want to leave this camera anywhere, like for real. I am so nervous about it getting stolen or falling over, just something. I just do not want to leave this camera anywhere unattended. Matter of fact, Chris Howe recently made a video about somebody stealing all his gear. And if I recall, I think the Sony a7s III was in the bag with the gear.
All right, you clicked on this title because it says, bad news about my Sony a7s. It was stolen.
Like see, don't take your eye off your Sony a7s III. Like, don't even do it. Don't even do it. It'll be gone in like a couple of seconds. So yeah, that's just a couple of things that I hate about the camera, but overall, the camera is still my baby. I freaking love the Sony a7s III, like for real. I love it. I mean, mainly the menu stuff. Like, I just don't understand the menu stuff. Like, come on, guys. Sony, come on. I love this camera. And side note, Roman Grosjean, again, I am so happy that you're okay. Oh man, did I seriously just shoot that entire video looking like a werewolf? You know what? No. Much better.